Hi, my name is Venice, and I've been volunteering with Empower Youth Network for the past 2 years, and I hope to continue doing so in the future.
Hi, my name is Liz, and I use she, her pronouns, and I have been doing the How to Help a Friend training for about 2 years now.
Hi, my name is Hannah. How to Help a Friend is peer-to-peer youth suicide prevention training.
That is taught to grades 6 to 8, and it teaches kids information about mental health, how to tell when somebody is struggling, and how to connect a friend with the resources that they need.
So when a young person is struggling, they're most likely to go to a friend for help first, which is why it's so important that we teach these middle schoolers what to do if a friend comes to them with suicidal thoughts or thoughts of depression.
The presenters are high school age volunteers like myself who have undergone training. Leaders are trained at a series of meetings where we learn and practice the material.
Most, if not all, of the feedback that we gave was taken into account, and the presentation was edited in a way that would accommodate that. Whether the language in the script was too abrupt, it would be too triggering, or if the language was not concise or specific enough. We worked together to come to a solution that would work for everyone.
So even though most of us have the material on the packets memorized by this point, we still bring our packets with us to every single presentation, and while my teammate is presenting, I'll be reading over the next slide that I'm going to present. If my teammate misses something, I'll jump in. If I miss something, my teammate jumps in, so that we can just make sure that the kids get all of the information that they need and that they don't miss out on anything.
Countless studies have shown that students better receive information from fellow students, so heavy topics like suicide and depression is better received. So as trainers, we are taught to discuss these heavy topics surrounding the big idea of empathy.
I feel adults often regard middle schoolers as too immature or too young to understand or even just think about these topics, but that's not the truth, which is why it's so important that we do this work.
To talk about why this program is so important to me and why I choose to do this work, it's actually because I was presented to with something like this when I was in middle school, and it really helped me. After seeing that presentation, I was able to connect a friend who was struggling with the resources that they needed, and that was only because I found the courage and the words that I needed through that presentation. I think that the quote, "The limits of my language mean the limits of my world," is very relevant here, because I think that the presentation really helps students to find the language to express themselves and to advocate for themselves, which I think is so incredibly important.
I've had so many impactful moments during this work, but I always feel what is most impactful is one-on-one conversations that I have with students after the presentation, or we have a section for questions, so answering these questions.
The big thing that stood out for me was the kids that would come up to me after the presentation and just be like, "Hey, how do I do what you do? How do I get involved?" And that was always really special to me, to know that there were other students that wanted to help and wanted to continue this message of empathy, to help other students, help their friends, their peers, and I think that's really special.
As for an impactful moment for me, I would think that was probably when I was at Twin Falls, and we had a presentation that was right after lunch. So we were let into the hallway, and the middle schoolers were let in about 5 seconds after us. So I was speed walking so I could get to, our next class, which was at the very end of the hallway. And I was walking super fast, and I didn't notice that there was a student trailing behind me trying to talk to me. And after the 3rd or 4th time that they had said, "Excuse me," I finally noticed that they were talking to me, and I stopped, and they complimented the shoes that I was wearing, and they thanked me for doing the presentation and for being a leader. And I think that moment really just made me appreciate how important it is not just for kids to have this information, but to feel seen by their presenters. You know, for context, the shoes that I was wearing that they had complimented had a little trans flag on them, and they had a little rainbow pin on their bag. So I think that, you know, for them it was important to see me presenting, but that extends to a lot of different kids.
I started high school online. You know, my 8th grade year, it was COVID, and having that transition in my room was really, really isolating. I really struggled. And so giving these students that are about to go through this transition, maybe it's coming up really soon, maybe it's in another year, but knowing that they have these, you know, important resources for, you know, them or their friends, if they ever need them, it's really satisfying to know that these kids are supported, and, you know, they're able to feel that and see that as, you know, they have cool high schoolers coming in and talking to them.
You know, a kid might see one of the leaders and recognize them from their church. They might recognize them as one of their friends' older siblings. They might see a guy presenter, and that might be really important to them because they're not used to seeing men talk about their mental health. Or maybe it's just a presenter who looks like them. Regardless, I just think that it's really important for kids to feel like they are not alone in their struggles, and there are people out there who are going through the same things that they are.
I feel very connected to this work, and I'm very grateful to have been a How to Help a Friend trainer for the past 3 years.
This work is super important, so I'm really glad to be a part of it, and I really hope that it continues in the future.